Record, officially get started. Okay. Yeah, we're down to a week from today is our last day before break, and then we come back and it'll go real fast after that. This is kind of our last week of Excel. We're going to do a post test next week. It's going to be just basically the pre-test you took, except this time it's going to count. But I'm not just going to give it to you. I'm going to put up a little review thing also. So that'll be a kind of a wrap up, and then we'll do the post test next week. And then we're going to do some more internet topics and related things. So that's coming up next week, and then we come back. There'll be a combination of wrapping up internet and web topics, and might be a few other miscellaneous things that we throw into there. So that's what's going on for our last, believe it or not, our last 3 weeks already. So without further ado, here I'm going to share the screen and bring up our class here. And I'm going to get the Excel ready here. So I got that about ready to go here. I got to open that up too. Now you guys can just watch. If you have your Excel open, you can do it with me. These charts, once you get used to them, are quite simple to do, but they do take a little getting used to. And when you're doing it all by yourself, like in other words, someone's not showing you or you're not watching a tutorial, and you're not for sure what to do, the best thing is what I call trial and error, where you just select some data, pick what you think might be a useful chart, or go to the recommended charts option and just try something. I mean, you can't hurt anything, you know. Worst comes to worst, you delete what you made and start over. So quite frankly, doing that is what really helps you understand a bit more of the charts. And these are really useful skills. So back to our what's going on this week. Yeah, your video should all be done by now or finishing up the useful websites today. And then what we're going to be doing here is the last two charts of this lesson right here. Now, just a reminder for those doing this at home using this here, this is our data, in case anyone wasn't here yesterday. So this is this, you make one workbook, in case anybody missed that. And this is your first sheet. This is your second sheet. We're going to make a chart today for this sheet, and we're going to make a chart today for this sheet. Okay, so all these here are your 4 sheets that are in your workbook. For those that were doing this system, you started with my tutorial here. Then at one point I pause it, and you watch this here for one of the first chart by somebody else. Then you come back to me, watch a little more. Then you go to this one and watch this for the second and the third chart. Then you come back to me for the last chart. That's how this was set up. And that was actually, it sounds kind of confusing, but it really isn't. If you watch this, it makes complete sense. And then you get to see these people make some very good tutorials. But the other way you do it is to be here watching this or watch a recording of this. So today we're going to do part 2. So without further ado, I'm going to open up my Excel here. Okay, so this was the one we did yesterday. We did this chart here for game sales. We did this chart here for Amazon sales and billions. And like I said, every chart you make, stop and look at it and see if it makes sense. Because I've had students many a time select data, make a chart. It makes no sense whatsoever, but it looks pretty. It's a chart. That's about all you can say for it. This here is very straightforward. We got Amazon sales in billions. We got the years, 2009 to 2019. And we have the amount of billions. So from 2009 to 2019, they went up quite a bit. And then this was the raw data. So today we're going to go on. We're going to start with this one here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see it better. Okay, now just starting out with my layout here. Again, some of you may start in a slightly different row or column than I did. I see no reason why my data needed to start one column over. So I'm just going to take this column here out. Now, if you did start one column over and you want to leave it there, that's okay. But since I don't have a lot of screen space here, I'm just going to take that one out and move this over. Now, I don't need, no, I guess I do need that about that wide because of the text. Okay, And then I'm going to select all my data and center it because I think that looks better. Okay, now what is going on here? Probably I should make this title here a bit bigger so it sticks out a little more. Okay, that looks better. Give some of this some colors too, make it a little bit colorful. Okay, so what do we got here? We got trees. Somebody is growing trees. Seedlings are young trees that are being grown. Okay, so the first column has time, how many days have gone by. The second column has Acer palmatum. That must be a type of tree. I'm no expert on trees. And that's the centimeters that apparently it has grown over time. And then the next one is Quercus rubra and Morus alba, the next two trees. They must be Latin names, it sounds like. And so that's how much those young seedling trees are growing in 20 days. Okay, so they're measuring their growth in days. So that's the data that we're dealing with. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this here because I'm guessing it's going to need to know the time, how much it is growing, and the types of trees. Now, right now, I'm going to leave the title off on purpose because sometimes titles come up good when you select them with a chart and sometimes they don't. So I'm just going to guess that it won't. I can always type in and add a title myself. Now back to, we're going to go to insert. That's where we go for our graphs. Sometimes you hear me say graphs, sometimes you hear me say charts. Actually, it's a mix of charts and graphs. I'd have to look up what the technical definition is between a chart and a graph, but some of them I guess are referred to as charts and some are graphs. Graphs, my guess, just off the top of my head, would be like when you have a line going across or something, and a chart might be more like bar charts and stuff like that. But either way, or a pie chart. This one here is we select that data. Now you could go up to recommended charts. Let's just see what that says. And it shows me a custom one that looks like that. Shows me a clustered bar. This is a clustered column. Let me pull this down here a little bit. Then we have a scatter and a stacked and so forth. Now, as it turns out, I've already made this chart before, and I want a variation of the scatter called a scatter XY. So I'm going to look around here to see where the scatters are. That's hierarchy, statistical, scatter. There it is right there. So if I pull that down, now I don't know if all scatters are called scattered XY or just, I got written in my notes here, scattered XY. So I'm just going to go to the first one and let's see what happens. Let's see. Scatters, lines. I'm looking at the different options here. Okay, we'll try the first one. So I'm going to click on the first one, scatter for the trees, and we're going to get this here. That's not exactly what I wanted, but it's close. Let me try a different one. So when in doubt, you just delete it. And I'm back to insert. Okay, I'm just going to click that button for the scatter. Oh, there it is again. I'm going to go the second one over. Let's try this one. That's better. I think that's what I was looking for. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so what's going on here? We're not done with this chart, okay? We have the, I'll try to put it underneath here, it might be easier. I don't have a lot of screen room here. First thing I'm going to do is give it a title, the chart. So we'll put heights of tree seedlings, okay? Then we want to put a title over here and then maybe even one down here so we know what's going on. So if you remember from yesterday, we can go up here to add a chart element. We go to access title, And I'm going to do, right now I'm going to do the vertical, the one on the left. Now that brings up this right here. So that's going to be, I'm just going to put cm for centimeters. Okay. So you know that's centimeters. Otherwise, you don't know what those numbers are. Are they inches? Are they feet? Are they dollars? Or what are they? You know, so that's centimeters. For the horizontal one, I'm going to go up here to add chart axis title. And I'm going to do the horizontal. And I'm going to go down here and put in days. Okay. So we've got how many centimeters they grew and how many days. And then you can look at the little legend down here as to which tree it is. You got each one, it's got its own line. So it looks like the Morris Alba did more growth, but then kind of near the end, kind of, you know, somehow went down. Not quite sure how that happened, but apparently that happened. And that doesn't look quite right. Wonder if I have a wrong data in there, because that would obviously make a wrong chart. Okay, I got one in the chat says it's laggy. I'm on the staff Wi-Fi here at school. I'm not sure. Is it laggy? You guys can put in the chat. I can try it on. I came in just a few minutes before this started. I could plug it into Ethernet, but I can't do it right this minute. Well, either way, I'll finish this because we're almost done. And if it's a problem, I'll be putting up the recordings from both of them today, so you can check it out. Okay. And usually the Wi-Fi here is quite good. I'm on the staff Wi-Fi too, which is usually quite good. But, or I don't know if it's for everybody, but if it's laggy for anyone else, please put it in the chat so I can see if it's multiple people. If it's just one or two people, then it might be some other issue. But if it's a bunch of people, then it's could be here at school. Well, either way, we're just about done with this here. Actually, I could say this was done, but I'm just going to show you a couple more things here real quick. As you probably know, there's pre-made designs up here, so I can click around up here and try out some different layouts. Okay. So if for some reason you hit one of these and say, hey, that looks great. By the way, you might say, Mr. Rio, if I'm doing this assignment with you and I click on a different one than you do and I leave it, but it still looks good. I mean, still makes sense and everything like that. Is that okay? And the answer is yes. As long as it looks good and makes sense and got things labeled and that's okay. Okay. So that's pretty much that one there. Of course, if we could spend, you know, another 20 minutes clicking through different options of formatting and stuff. But you know, we don't have time for that right now. So the last one we're going to do here is a pie chart. And pie chart, you probably have seen these before. They basically take a bunch of amounts, whatever it may be, and you take the total and then you break it up in all the little pieces. So here is our budget. This is a good thing to make a pie chart of, because the whole is our whole monthly budget. And then we want to know, like in the case of a pie chart, all the different slices, so to speak, that make up our rent and our car payments and so forth. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight just the data. Almost never do totals appear in a chart. Okay, usually it's about data. And sometimes people, when they open up a spreadsheet to make a chart, they're not even making something that's going to be added or multiplied or anything like that. They're just putting in the categories and the raw data. That's it, because they want to make a chart. So it doesn't have to come from something that has all this other stuff in it. Sometimes people just put the data in a couple of rows or columns and then select it just for the sole purpose of making a chart. So what we're going to do here is we know we want a pie chart. Let me see what recommended says, by the way, as long as we're here. Hopefully it'll say pie chart. It doesn't come up right away. That's kind of weird. Well, there are obviously different ways you could do this. But we're going to go down here to pie chart, and we're going to go to the first one, which is a basic pie chart. And it comes up at first like this. You got your pie, your colors, you got your key. We have a lot of categories. Okay, so on first glance, this may not be really easy to figure out what's what, but we're not done. So first we're going to put in the title, and we're going to put your own name, and then put budget. Okay, that's a good start. Now, before we go try to figure out how to label some of these slices better, there's probably some pre-made ones that already do that for us. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do here is check out the pre-made ones first. You know, why not? That's what they're there for. So I click on the first one. That's what we got. Click on the second one. Not really a fan of that one. Click on this one. Oh, that's looking pretty good. You know, that's maybe not perfect, but it's not bad. Then I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, that shows percentages again, but I'd like one with lines in there. Let's see. Got that one, you got this one, got this one. Okay, I'm just looking through a few more here. I have seen ones that got, okay, that one I like. So far, that's my favorite one. Okay, that one's kind of hard to read. That one's hard to make. Now, so part of my problem is my chart's not very big. I don't have a very big area, so it kind of limits a little bit what they can do. This one's not bad. Actually, if I do this one, I really don't even need the legend. The only problem is the dark text kind of conflicts with this here. I could go in and change the text colors, but that's not too bad either. I'm going to go back to the beginning here, and I'm going to see what I can do with the labels myself. Okay, click through these here. Okay, I'm going to just see what's up here. Oh, they got quick layout options too. Let me see what these do. What if I did that? Okay, that's not too bad. Okay. Now, as you look at this here, these different options, some clearly stick out as not very good, but other ones, the only problem with a color code one like this, we got so many categories. There's like 3 or 4 different blues. So if you see a blue over here, you automatically know which one it is. And the reason I'm mentioning all this, because if you make a chart to put in a presentation, and you were to put this up on like a PowerPoint to show, you know, part of a presentation, you don't want one that's going to confuse people. You want one that's going to be pretty straightforward and do a pretty good job on stuff. Okay, this one does got categories. Again, it's kind of hard to read. So if you edit it for the colors of the text, that would definitely help a lot. I'm going to go back to this one here and back to our data labels. It's got best fit, data call out. Let's see what this one looks like. Okay, I like that. That definitely was a big improvement. Call out meant, you know, if you remember from Word, we had those call outs, those little like text boxes with the lines. That looks pretty good right there. I think I'm going to leave this one here. Now, if you're sitting there doing your trial and error and picking your chart and doing your data labels, and you come up with a pie chart that shows this information, looks reasonably good, that's okay. For some reason along the way here, it took out my title, so I'm going to put that back in here. Oops. Okay, so I think this one looks pretty good. So basically, if you did follow me and do the same one I did, that's great. And if you did some other variation, you found a slightly different layout, got data labels, it looks pretty good. It's pretty clear what it is. You can read things pretty good. That's fine too. Okay, there isn't a one right way to make this pie chart. Okay, so that's our chart. So if you've been following, or if you watch this later in the recording and you do this here, that's it. You know, you just made a new Excel workbook. You put in the data for the 4 different sheets. This one here, I just named pie chart. This one here, I named line graph, or you could name it seedlings if you wanted to. This one, if you wanted to name it budget instead of pie chart, that's fine too. That one we named Amazon. This one we named game sales. So you can see how this data, which on quick glance you look at it and like, oh, it's not quite sure what's what. But then when you take a look at this colorful graphic chart, you can then much easier tell which games are doing well and which months and everything like that. This one here, which is we can tell right away, Amazon sales are going up, up, up over the years. This one here, we get to see our 3 trees, how fast they're growing. Not quite sure. This looks kind of weird where it takes a drop there, so it might be a wrong number that's in there. So if something like that happens, you can always check your data and make sure that the right data. And by the way, if I have that data in there, you're not wrong. If it's wrong, that was my fault. And then pie chart, there's our budget. So we can take a quick glance here and I can look and say, oh my gosh, miscellaneous and gasoline is a big chunk of my budget. Rent is a big chunk of my budget. Food is a big chunk of my budget. Okay. So, so this here, this here is really helpful for things like that, or if you're given a presentation. So people use Excel to make these and they put them in PowerPoints and put them in Word documents and so forth. So basically with Excel, it's, just to wrap up Excel in general, it's designed so you can make these sheets that some people just open it up and say you're making a roster for a baseball team. So you just want rows and columns to put in the names and the positions they play and maybe some of their statistics. And you may or may not have calculations in it. Okay, you don't have to have calculations in a spreadsheet. But a lot of these are used for things that involve calculations. Salaries, sales, budgets, all that kind of stuff. So if you, almost anything you do in life, this is really useful skills to have. And I use Excel myself for my own household budgets and things like that. So it's, and then if you go into business or go into any type of job where you might need to use these skills, this is just an introduction in this class. So there's a lot more you can learn, a lot of great tutorials out there. So that's it. It's 9:55. We're pretty much wrapped up here. Next week, we'll just have a little closing with the Excel post test and just a few things I share with you about that. And then we'll be continuing with ARINET. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here. If there's any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask or put in the thing. I am interested to know if anyone beside one student is having an internet lag problem. So if you had some, let me know. If not, then I assume it was just some other issue. Okay. And yep, I'm here in outer space. I was playing around with some of the backgrounds here. Let me turn off my background. That was actually on there from something I was playing with earlier. Virtual backgrounds. So I'm going to go back to none. So I'm back here in the studio. So, okay. Well, either way, you guys take care. Have a good weekend. Have a good day. Enjoy this nice day until it rains. If you got questions, you can text me or email me anytime. And yes, I will be back here at noon doing basically the same thing. Okay. Take care.